And we're back with James O'Connor, designer of Welcome to DinoWorld and Jewelers Row.
Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is
Ad hoc, concerned with a particular end or purpose, formed or used for specific or immediate problems or needs, fashioned from whatever is immediately available, improvised. Ad hoc. This one I thought was hard. Like, I looked at your two words, and yesterday's was cool and definitely inspiring and all. And this one's tough. And it's about time that someone else gets a tough one.
It's like the opposite problem of yesterday's.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks a lot for sending that to me. It's the opposite problem from yesterday because like with Caravansary, it's like, okay, the theme and everything is just right there. It's like just ready for the taking, and you've never heard it before, so it's all new. With ad hoc, it's like I use this word practically daily in my in my job, and it's for a very specific purpose. It's like for ad hoc meetings. It's okay, we're gonna form a quick meeting with whoever we've got around. It's not our regularly scheduled meeting. We're just going to grab some people. We're going to go in a conference room. It's an ad hoc meeting. And so I was so blinded by that it was very difficult to kind of detach from it and think of something new or like kind of think about it from a different perspective. So I just kind of sat and stared at this one for a while. And because my use of it is for such a bland purpose, all of my ideas started off being very bland. Like, or maybe you're creating an ad hoc meeting or an ad hoc committee or trying to do something. So my first game idea was, okay, well, maybe you have a cube pusher where you're trying to convert cubes into different rates. And there's fixed conversion rates where you can turn blue cubes into red cubes for 3-to-1. But you can also do it ad hoc if you don't have the right pieces in place, and you can convert blue cubes into purple cubes, but for like a different rate or something like that. And that just sounded terrible. So
I mean, it's neat. It makes sense.
Yeah, because the idea of doing something ad hoc is it's not as
written
ideal or efficient as you would normally do it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like if you had a good process in place, you wouldn't have to do something ad hoc. So because you're doing it kind of on the fly, you're doing it less efficiently than you could otherwise. And so that was actually some of the stuff I found when I was kind of doing some more digging in the word. Is like, okay, it's usually a symptom of not enough planning or no consideration for how you're going to do this later. You just need to do something right now. And I actually found out that this word ad hoc is Latin for this specific purpose. We're going to do something ad hoc. But after thinking about it for a while, I kept kind of bouncing off of it until I kind of looked at the related word of improvised or fashioned from whatever's immediately available. And that kind of grabbed me a little bit. So that kind of made me think of, okay, you're trying to make some sort of tools or something like that from whatever you have lying around and trying to fashion or improvise something. And that kind of made me think of like a survival scenario. Like you're washed up on a desert island. You've got random things, and you're trying to improvise or create things ad hoc out of what you have. And so that's kind of was my jumping off point from there.
That's neat. My initial thoughts was it went very meta. Like, you're ad hoc creating a group to play this game, or not even that, but within the game. Like, if we're forming a team or whatever, and we're just doing it on the fly without that planning, and you have to do it right this second. Like, there's just no time, and who's on your team? Go. You have no choice. We're on it. Start.
Okay. You could create like an ad hoc expansion to Pretense.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had a Pretense feel to it. But that was like really as far as I could possibly go once I saw this word. It was just,
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, so I kind of evolved that survival game idea, because at first I was thinking, okay, like kind of like a Robinson Crusoe game where you've got like little resources and you're trying to combine them in certain ways, but that just seemed too hard. So I kind of took it up a level to something a little bit more lighthearted, or like a party style game. So this is kind of where I started diving in and kind of going deep. So imagine you're washed up on a desert island with just a bunch of random stuff from the plane or the boat or whatever, like a sock, a toothbrush, a bowling ball, just random things. And so you would like get a stack of cards that are just random items. You would deal some out to the middle, other things everybody can use, and then you give everybody a couple cards. Those are your private items. Those are only things you can use. And then you're working together cooperatively to try and overcome scenarios, and so that's a separate deck of cards. And so you flip over a scenario, and it's like, okay, you need to catch a wild boar to have food tonight. How are you going to do that with the things that are out here, with this toothbrush and a sock and a bowling ball? And so everyone would kind of take turns. Okay, I think I could maybe use these couple of items, come up with this, MacGyvered approach, or what. And then so one player would be the judge, and they'd have a little pool of dice, like maybe 10 dice. And everyone would kind of make their pitches, or they kind of collaborate. And since it's cooperative, everyone's kind of working together, kind of feeding off each other. And once they kind of come up with okay, I think we can catch this boar by unraveling the socks and turning it into like a thin string, and then tying it around the bowling ball and using the toothbrush as a stake. And then when the boar comes through, then it'll trip the toothbrush, and the bowling ball will come down, and then now we can have pork tonight. And so the judge will say, okay, well, I think that's it has like a likeliness, so I think that's pretty unlikely. I don't think you could get a string from a sock to hold a bowling ball. Or maybe they're like, oh, I think that's really great, and they can assign some dice based on how likely they think the scenario is to occur. And so those dice would have like 2 successes and 4 blanks, I think. And so then the more dice you give, the more likely you are to be successful in that. And so then they roll the dice and see, okay, did that plan work or did it not? And then those dice kind of migrate around, so each player has a chance being the judge, but those dice are also the timer. So the more dice you allocate, the quicker you kind of rotate the judge. And once everyone's been the judge twice, then the game ends. And you kind of say, okay, how many scenarios did we accomplish? How many survivor points did we get? Were we able to survive long enough to be rescued? Or did we fail too often because we couldn't come up with interesting ideas, or because we didn't allocate the dice correctly, and we were overcome by events? So that's kind of where I got with that.
What's interesting about that is you went very cooperative at one point, where I like, maybe just in the theme, like where did we go? But everybody's pitching this thing, they're kind of against each other in the pitch, I assume, and then you pick one and you roll. So it was neat where it had a little twist where it was like, we are doing this.
Yeah, I'm envisioning it kind of being like we're all working together, but you're also trying to convince one player who's the judge on how likely can I make this scenario based on the tools that are available to me. And you don't want to be like, oh, that's super likely, here's all 10 dice, because then you're just gonna burn your timer too quickly. But you also don't want to hold back too much, because then you're not going to be able to successfully overcome a challenge.
And there's a weird line there when it's like a party storytelling type of game like that, where you have this number, and this is your goal, and you don't want to use all the dice. But some people just want to have the best story, and
right, exactly.
It's like a weird. There's just such a weird line there with gamifying story games.
Right.
Sometimes people are just like, I roll them all because I want to see.
Exactly. I really want that to happen. I want that.
Exactly.
It's almost kind of like in like an RPG when you're trying to convince your DM, like, I've got this really awesome way to do this thing. Please let me roll with a bonus, kind of thing. Like, that's kind of what I was envisioning a little bit. Yeah. But you're trying to kind of work with these tools, these random little tools, to kind of come up with an ad hoc solution for a problem.
I had on yesterday we talked about early games, and I had an early game that I made called Famous Missions, and I still love it to this day, but I kickstarted it and it failed in like 2011, I think, maybe something along those lines. And I was asking for way too much money, and I wasn't ready for it. And way too much money then was like $4,000, or
oh my gosh,
it might have been $5,000. And then we redid the art, and another company kickstarted it, and it's funded, but it was just such a small run of like 250 or something. It was just it doesn't exist anywhere right now. Like, there's like 2 copies still around, I'm sure. But the game was basically like you had famous characters, and you had a hand of them, like 7 famous characters, and a mission would come out and would say, like, rob a bank, and you had to put together your best hand of famous characters to rob a bank, and then kind of pitch as to why they were better than your opponent's hand of famous characters. And the fun part about it was the characters were not always great. Like, some were famous for stupid reasons and dumb reasons. Like Carrot Top was one of them.
Oh god.
And so to give you a perspective, that's that. But people like really were just like, I hate Carrot Top. I will never play a game with Carrot Top in it. I think that's great. I'll find a copy somewhere and give you one. But I
Okay, awesome.
no, I just had a little moment of that as you were talking, just trying to kind of plead your case a little bit, and to
Yeah.
why my suggestion for this is better than yours. And that little bit of debate is always, creative debate like that is always fun, especially if you have a prompt, which was cool about what I had before, and with this is like you have those couple tools that give you somewhere to kind of go off of, and with a creative group that stuff can really shine.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's hard to kind of say, okay, there's a better way to do this, but you don't have access to that. You have to create a weird way.
Yeah.
So go.
Exactly. No, that's always fun. And I have a really creative group here that we would just play games with, just like we would make a movie out of story cubes or something along those lines, and we had like 8 different points of the film that we would create, and things like that. Or I even had these dice that just had words on them, and the words were terrible, and make like a complete film out of them. And I don't know. I love that kind of creative gaming like that. But I don't do a lot of like role playing, which is weird. Like it stops at like I guess it's the involvement maybe. I can do a single session, but once it becomes, do you do a lot of role playing?
I'm actually trying my first campaign right now. We've only done 2 meetings where we created our characters, and we just started an adventure. But yeah, so really I'm dipping my toe in, just very, very small.
Have you played like anything like Fiasco or any of those like single shots?
No, but I've actually been really enjoying some of the radio play style versions that they do, like the Gamers with Jobs folks. They do kind of like those like Dread or styles like that, like Powered by the Apocalypse. Those actually create a lot of really interesting stories, and I really enjoy listening to those. So that was kind of part of my inspiration for maybe I'll try out a quick campaign, see how that goes.
Well, you got to let me know how it goes, because I can't squeeze it in. I just can't do it. I've tried.
The commitment is really hard. We've already canceled more times than we've met.
I can't even finish Pandemic Legacy Season 1, so my group is just like...
Oh, no, we're so close on that. We're like in December. All we need to do is meet one more time, and we can't make it work.
You know what? Even worse than that, I have 2 games left of Risk Legacy that we've been playing for over 5 years now. That's just how...
Oh, that game is awesome.
How much I can't get my group to commit. All right, cool. Well, this was a lot of fun.
It's hard when...
It is hard. It's impossible.
Yeah, especially when you need the same people every time.
Yeah, and when nobody wants to play with my brother because he just takes Australia, and I'm not going to spoil anything 5 years later, but
yeah.
All right, cool. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you and follow along with all your fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm on Twitter mostly, at Stellaris Games. That's kind of where I try to hang out and connect with everybody. I had an LLC at one point with a website, but we've since dissolved that because it was too much work to maintain. So yeah, Twitter is just mostly where I hang out.
Cool. I'm sure everybody's on Twitter. That's one of the few places that this gets posted, so they'll find you. Well, we should do this again sometime, but for now, that's the end of our weekend, our 2 episodes, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.